Hey everyone, this is Manly Badass and welcome back to Vanilla Garden of Judgment. Previously we sent off Soyo in a way that was not too good. Chapter 5, Garden of Judgment. The first time I had seen her, she had been extremely thin. She was mostly expressionless and smiled rarely. Perhaps she had been sickly, and she took a lot of time off of school. She had been in the same art club as I was, but we weren't particularly close. We barely talked. Her pretty face was directed outside the classroom window. She was expressionless as a doll, and had gorgeous green eyes. What color is Vanilla's eyes? Were they green? I was always following her with my eyes. We hadn't spoken, or had any involvement with each other. I only looked at her and admired her. Oh yeah, that's definitely Vanilla. Her paintings were always dark. It was a world devoid of all light. I thought that those paintings wouldn't be accepted by anyone else. There was something in that darkness that drew me powerfully. That everyone could paint what she did. Maybe... So maybe, Vanilla's already kind of moved on. And she came back for us. So that's another reason they ran into bad ends, is because we're not moving on with her. We're kind of sticking around in limbo with some other girl we just met. She was painting the reality that everyone wanted to look away from. She might not have wanted anyone's evaluation in the first place. Perhaps the value she found in art was to paint her emotions on the canvas. Every time I saw that melancholy look on her face, I wanted to know more. What was she thinking? How did she see this world? And then that day finally came. The classroom was colored in sunset. When I came back to the classroom to retrieve something I'd forgotten, I found her standing by the windowsill. If I fell, what had happened? She whispered this while looking out the glass. She didn't even look at me. Did she know I was there? Or was she talking to herself? I couldn't know if it was that or that she was talking to me. But would she even talk to me, who she barely exchanged words with? It could have been her talking to herself, but I still gave her a reply. Don't think of doing anything stupid. If I could die like that, things would be easier. She cut me off just like that. She might not have wanted to have a conversation. She turned around and continued talking. I realized she wasn't ignoring me. Have you found? Oh, we are a row. See, we're she-row. Someone called this in the comments. They were like, "Oh, Blanco, she-row." Ah, see. Have you thought this, Shiro, about the world when you're no longer in it? She knew my name. I couldn't hide my surprise that she knew my name, even when we were in the same club. Had she taken interest in me as well, or was it some coincidence? That was how I'd met her. You're Kobe Shonen. After that, we began to talk to each other more. She was expressionless as always. She rarely showed any emotion. Her words too were neutral. It didn't show whether she was sad or happy. What would she look like smiling? I wanted to see her smile. Each day that desire grew stronger. Did I like her that way? I surely had a crush on her at that point. When I asked her out on a date, despite looking like she didn't want to, she agreed. I thought she forced herself to come, but somehow I saw her expression as somewhat happy. Despite being expressionless, she might have had an interest in romance. Why did you invite someone like me, Shiro? I'm negative. I don't smile. And I'm no fun to be around. Because I'm gonna be a hero of justice. Maybe trace some swords, you know, good stuff. I wonder why. It was probably because I found fun to talk to her. It was only with her I could have so much fun talking about her interests. Fun. You think it's fun to be around me? I got it. I can still be fun to be around then. The girl whispered this and tucked in her chin. I remember that the happy face of hers didn't leave my head for days. I thought it was a surprise for her to make such an expression. I thought something must have been troubling her. That was as far as I thought at that point. I'd taken it lightly. I hadn't realized the full weight of the burden she'd held. I thought the reason that she would show me no reaction and really smile was because she was cool-headed. I decided on her personality just like that. It was a spring day. I finally confessed to her that I liked her, that I wanted to go out with her, using words you could find anywhere, without thinking of her feelings. Sorry. It was then I realized how lightly I took things. The shocking truth had left her lips. According to her, she had lost her mother and was being raised by her father. She was being forced into sex slavery by her father. So there is kind of a sexual theme to each of the girls. Her father was unemployed, and her household was being supported entirely by the money she'd earned. And her one hobby, art, was supported only by the allowance she received. Allowance. Yet all the money was hers. The people who bought her sexual favors would be her father's acquaintances or friends. She'd be touched, licked, photographed, and raped by whoever, both her pride and personhood were being infringed upon. And her patience had gone to waste, as her father had gambled away most of their earnings. He'd thrown away all that effort she expended trying to hold herself together. Her family was soon neck deep in debt. Even if she sacrificed her heart holding it all in over and over each and every day, she wouldn't be able to leave the prison she was in. That was the reason she always painted dark things. There was no light. It was a matter of course she'd lose her emotions. I'm gonna say this is the least campy, like not, you know, when I say least camp, I mean there's like none there whatsoever. Sharon game out there. A lot of them are a little bit like either the darkest or like a little funny. This one's pretty straight except for the anime tropes, I'd say. Of course, she would stop smiling. I couldn't believe she spent her days having to please clients rather than enjoying her youth. I didn't want her to think about that. I didn't want to, but I couldn't. It was reality that you shouldn't look away from. That day we held hands for the first time. That day she looked happy. I had no idea she was forced to spend time with strange men. Gross, isn't it? It's normal to think that way. I mean, I think that the most. There's no person out there who could love this filthy body. This world isn't kind enough to allow someone to go uncovered in dirt and trash. That's wrong. Don't say that. I didn't want her to say that. I was just sad for her. You don't like it either, do you? It wouldn't nasty joke to keep someone as filthy as me. It hurt to hear that come from her lips. The edge of her words weren't directed at me, and yet, it wasn't me who was suffering, and yet, she was so important to me. I couldn't stand looking at her when like that. Maybe I'm supposed to die. You shouldn't see me anymore. I mean, I caused you so much pain. I think you should give up. Your tears are proof. I suddenly realized I was crying. I wasn't disillusioned by her, that wasn't it. These tears weren't that. I was just pained to hear her horrible circumstances. I held her in my arms gently. Shiro, I'm here. I'll always be here. I would save her. Maybe they did a double suicide. My grandpa died 2 years ago. He was always full of life, and when I came over in the summer, we'd play games together. I couldn't believe someone who was the picture of vigor could go and die. There were so many things in life that were hard to believe. Each of these hard truths were proof that we were all mere specks on this planet. This was the last clear sky of the summer. The sun was pounding down on me, and the heat overwhelming. The sound of cicadas were burned in my ears. I remember what my grandpa had told me then. How's Akiko doing, Shiro? Grandpa let out a breath after a sip of tea. Akiko was my mother's name. She was always busy and would hardly come home as of late. I wondered if Grandpa was worried too. She's real stubborn, that girl is. She doesn't change her mind, and she's not honest. Might take after me. She doesn't come by when I ask her to, either. No news is good news. I just hope so, anyhow. I wonder if he was lonely. I was thinking something carefree like that. Maybe this was Grandpa's last summer. Somehow, I think I knew that. Our family's all middle class. We got normal upbringing and all we needed. Every last one of us have gone by old age. Well, probably since we ain't got any misfortune coming our way. That's why I think, Sonny, someone in pain might be coming your way. When that time comes, Shiro, you ought to protect him. Finally, I finally understood what he meant. This must have been my fate. I changed little by little since meeting her. Step by step with serenity. I didn't see her smile, but felt the words she used with me grow gentler. The thorns in her heart one by one began to fall. She was opening herself up to me. I knew that much. I ran out of house as soon as we graduated high school. Dang, you were able to rent a house? As I'd been working part-time, I had the money to pay right away. The truth was I had games and comics I wanted to buy. I would do anything for the girl of my dreams. Perhaps I wished to save her enough that I had lost my own desires. I wanted to save her from the darkness as soon as possible. I wanted to live in this house with you. I told her this, and despite looking terribly surprised, she nodded. It was a one room with little space. It was the most I could do at that point. Yet even with so little, her presence made it home. When I earned enough, we could move to a bigger house. The future contained endless possibility. Our futures were bright. She could do what she wanted. I could finally save her. I could save her from her imbalanced upbringing. Isn't that right, Grandpa? Thus our life together began. Our time together was peaceful. It was average, but with no accidents or happenings either. That was all we needed. I wouldn't get bored of that. There was always new things to discover. The days passed. Things were fresh, as if we were writing on a clean piece of paper each time. I could see the peace grow in her expression. If the time to enjoy was short, the abyss she held within would occasionally overflow. A heart that's been hurt as deeply as hers wouldn't be so easy to fix, would it? She would sometimes get attacks in the night. She would spill tears down her cheeks, sobbing. Seeing her in such pain, I would remember the depth of her pain at being hurt by not only her father, but many unknown men, the endless despair that had taken root in her. It took a while for those who were hurt to recover. I don't want to die. I was powerless. I patted her, shaking back, holding her small body close to me. I could only do this. It was painful to watch. I nearly cried too, hearing her broken screams. I held it back and comforted her. I don't want to die, Don't die, I'm right here. It's my fault. It wasn't your fault, you were just born in strange circumstances. Sorry I'm making you hurt. I was fine. I was alright, I was just wishing for your happiness. You do fine. There was already light blooming in you. You only need to realize that. You just need to allow yourself to be happy. You just need to make many happy memories from here on out. We had all the time in the world. There was nothing stopping us. I wanted to see her smile. That was my motivation. The sun had long sunk over the horizon, and the two of us, hand in hand, we watched the stars in the sky. Gorgeous, isn't it, Shiro? What did I reply in return back then? Yeah, they are. That's pretty much what I said. I was happy to see her eyes sparkle with joy. While looking at the twinkling lights the sky adorned, she said that to me, as she had been stuck inside for a while. I brought her to the fireworks festival in the neighborhood. The sky was conveniently cloudless, and fireworks bloomed bright in the sky. I hadn't seen the show in a while, and it was much prettier than it was in my memories. Most of all, I was happy to hold hands with my love while watching the show. The fireworks shone for a moment then disappeared into the night sky. It was fun today, Shiro. Thanks for taking me here. It really made me feel better, I think. I'd like to come back next year with you. Would we be able to go? We'll be able to go, won't we? There's That awkward smile again. Sorry, it's my fault. When I'm alright, I'll hopefully be able to let you smile normal again. I wondered, was there something wrong with my smile? I believed that this happiness would go on forever. I thought that I would be okay with any obstacles that came our way if I was with her. What was this unease? I felt that if I looked away, she would disappear in a puff of air. I thought she would leave my side. It was a little while after we began to live together. My love, sitting across from me at the table, curled her lips happily. It was the first time I'd seen her smile. I don't need time to pass. I don't need the future either. I just need this moment. I feel happy right now for sure. She said that and left a thin flower vase on the table. There was a single white flower in it. It filled the room with a sweet aroma in an instant. It was a small and cute flower. I wonder what kind it was. It's a vanilla flower. Isn't it cute? She smiled while pouring her favorite sweet milk tea into a mug. There's that sweet milk tea. I decided to use it to decorate on a whim. So if I go away, you won't be sad. Why are you going away? I didn't know what she meant at first. I had no one that brought her to choose that flower either. A man like me who never cared much about flowers wouldn't notice the feelings behind a flower and its meaning. Would you be lonely if I went away, Shiro? What was she saying? Don't say something ominous like that. You see, I believe this, that if we were to separate, that these happy days would be here to stay, that the memories of being loved would always stay with us. It was as if you knew you'd go away. Please remember that, Shiro. No matter what happens, I love you. From the bottom of my heart, you might go someplace that won't change. After all, my love is like this vanilla's white flower. It is everlasting. Let's get married. There's only one choice, literally this time. I would grab that hand before it left me. The hand that was so delicate, tightly, and I wouldn't let go. After all, my love was everlasting. Akiko, that's the mom. I wouldn't allow it. Of course I wouldn't. Her sudden jeer caused me my love to shrink back. She raised her voice, slamming the desk. An overwhelming fear began to root itself in the back of my mind. It was as if we had done something bad and were being scolded, as if we were being told that our happy days together were a mistake. It's your fault, you filthy woman. You made my son do this. This was my mother's mean-spirited outburst, directed at my love. Not me, but her. She hadn't hit her, but her words enough to cut into her heart. You can't even think what my son would be going through. I know my son best. I had him in my stomach for months, which is why I know exactly everything about him, because I had him in my stomach. I have the right to decide how he spends his future. Aren't you just trying to get money out of him? You wanted money, so you persuaded my boy. Didn't you? I can't have my son to some filthy damage like you. Don't take away my boy's future. Stop it, Mom. I'm saying the foot down. Foot's officially down. I want to object, but oh no, we couldn't do it. But I couldn't say a thing. It was as if my words got stuck in my throat and it hurt. Why? If I didn't say something now, everything would fall apart. I learned how painful it was to have my future denied. This was what my love had experienced up until now. She had reached the pinnacle of what it was like to have yourself denied. She listened silently to my mother's words. She didn't cry or look offended. She was expressionless. She had returned to looking like an emotionless doll, the same as when I met her. Even being yelled at like this, she didn't flutter her eyelashes once. That painful expression was burned into my memory. How did my mother's words reverberate in her mind? She must have been hurt. It must have been nothing but pain. She must have been in pain. We couldn't reach a conclusion, so my love and I left the house. My mother didn't stop yelling until we left. I held in my tears time after time as we walked. My mother didn't accept us. She didn't accept our future, our happiness. I pulled my love's hand when she stood, dazed. We couldn't stay here. Let's go home. Her hand had no strength in it, and it was like a broken doll's. She'd lost the light in her eyes. What was she feeling? What world was in her eyes? Was she standing in a chasm of despair? It wasn't just her who was in pain. I was in pieces. I was frustrated and angry, to the point I might have lost myself. I drank up the whole time my mother had been yelling. I couldn't say a word. I couldn't interrupt her. If I disobeyed my mother, I didn't know what would happen. I would be beat senseless. I was taught that from an early age. It had always been that way. If I didn't listen to her, I'd get it. That fear was deep within my body. I remembered it all. I'll talk to her tomorrow, so wait for me. Let's marry for sure. No, we will. My love was expressionless as I spoke to her. She did not shed a tear, as if she had lost all emotion. She was frozen. She was just telling me to disappear while I wasn't looking, when she wouldn't be seen by anyone, before her heart could break further. To protect herself, it was clear that the thought she would die was circling her mind. I was once asked, "Why do you always paint dark things?" She finally spoke when we were in bed. She spoke without a preamble, averting her eyes from mine, as if she were telling a story. I didn't want to accept it, but I knew somehow that I couldn't be happy. I was hugging unhappiness tightly to myself all this time. That's why nobody will let me be happy, because I'm damaged goods. But it's all my fault. The fact that I thought I'd overcome all this hurt and live on too. And even having you try to heal my wounds and believing you, when you'd chosen all that was me. Don't say that, please don't. I just want to be happy. So why? I'm an idiot. There's no way I can find happiness. Damaged goods like me should just stay unhappy. Everything we built up would collapse, clattering down ruthlessly. It had been pointless from the start, and our efforts meant nothing. My love and I fell asleep, tears brimming in our eyes. I want that nightmare of a night to end already. I held my love's hands, faking this. I gave her a shaking body in my arms, so she couldn't run away. If I was with her, then that was all I needed. I needed just that. It was all I needed to feel happy. I felt fortunate. The smile on her face had surfaced, overcoming an ocean of despair. Because we'd overcome so much pain, there was only up. There would be no more sorrow. But that wish might didn't come true. That morning, I would experience all the pain my life had to offer. When I awoke, the woman I had fallen asleep with was no longer there. In its place, there was a note or a flower. Uh-oh, the window. An open window. The white curtains shook in the winds. There was no tomorrow for us. Ah! I can't stand this. Stop it already. It hurt too much to remember it all. I didn't see her smile ever again. Tomorrow wasn't enough. She didn't have tomorrow. It wasn't enough. I had been too late. I hadn't held her tight enough. I'd let go of her. I killed her. If I protected her properly when I was with my mother, if I showed her that I was her sole ally, I knew it. I knew that regret wouldn't bring anything back, but it wasn't that easy. I couldn't act against my mother. I could only listen to her. I was a pitiful kid who was puppeteered by his mother. I couldn't speak my mind in front of her. I promised to protect my love, but in the end I was garbage who could only watch things unfold. My mom was a problem too. She's after your money. What proof did she have? I was born poor. I didn't have any impressive job. I was screaming my paycheck to paycheck. I couldn't even save money. What plus would she have by choosing such a poor man? Wouldn't she have chosen love over money? I was put aback by how my mother could assume when she was after my wallet, or that she had fooled me. My mother knew best that we were poor, and that our family held no value. In the end, all she wanted to do was sling insults at my love. She was jealous that her son had been taken away by some unknown girl. That was why, that was it. It was true that my mother had given birth to me. If I didn't have my mother, I wouldn't be here. I was grateful that she had raised me. But it was out of the ordinary for her to control my life. I had choice in this. I would do what I wanted. Yet I couldn't see anything at the time. No, it was because I had been raised not to fight back against my mother. I wasn't able to do what I should have done. I couldn't fight back. If I fought back, it would be met with violence. I'd get beaten up. I didn't want to hurt. I didn't want to. It was the same as training an animal. I was one of the animals you lined up to see at the circus. Oh, I see. I've been controlled by her since I was a kid. I've been in her cage since the beginning. I've been cursed to be unable to protect what was important to me when I needed to. But in the end, one who had chosen to break the prison bars and leave was me. Because I was a weakling. Because I had no backbone. My love had nearly recovered from her wounds. Those wounds now had opened again, blood pouring from them. She was supposed to walk side by side with me to find happiness. And yet, I had ended it all. See my love and Soyo too. That's right. I looked away from my own sins while judging theirs. I was a conceited moron. I told her that murderers wouldn't be forgiven. Then I told her to stop her desires. Then I told her never to feel shame for her lack of responsibility. I rejected each and every last one of them for their sins. Who was at fault here? It was me. I was the only one. That was my sin. So I guess it's some kind of parallel thing. Like he says himself, he feels like he was unable to help these girls. And then, you technically you can, but you get the bad end. So he just kept kind of repeating himself over and over again of how he failed to kind of stand up for his technically fiance, I guess. And so that he has regret because, like she obviously jumped out the window or something happened. So since it really is a very limbo thing in the sense, like, I wonder why it was those girls specifically, but like I said, it is a very much a limbo thing where, kind of you experience something that's holding you back over and over and over, till you come to terms with it, and then you kind of move on. In a garden where white petal danced in the wind, she stood. Her long white hair was blown in the wind. Hakana. That one word caused her to turn around. Welcome home, Shiro. She smiled as if she'd been waiting for me. She had on a refreshing expression that looked as if she could forgive anything. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. You were never in your past, I see, but I did not hold you to it. I couldn't protect you. I killed you. You are not responsible. You are guiltless. You did not cause my death. No, I had practically killed Hakana myself. I need to be punished for my crime. I remembered it all. The sin I had committed. I thought I should apologize to you. I was being unfair. This was something I couldn't change. This was something frustrating to the point I wanted to look away. I was repenting for that after all this time, looking for forgiveness. Why? I love you no matter what, Shiro. That won't change even when I'm gone. I believe I told you that night. Did you hear me tell you? This is a place where you cleanse of all sins. You've already passed away, so we have nothing to our name. There are no criminals or victims. There are no sins or punishment here. And also, you have yet to realize your true sin. Your sin is that you killed yourself by your own hand. You chose to take your own life. You thought that if you died, that you would be at ease. That you would see me in the next life. That you would be with me together in heaven. Did you not dream of such a thing? But if you're not with me, what reason is there to live? The world is too cruel for me to live on my own. I wanted you to stay by my side, Hakata. I can't live without you. You are a fool, Shiro. You are the biggest fool of them all. You did the same thing as I did. Couldn't we redo things? Here, just the two of us. Things were peaceful here. Nobody could stop us. We could always be together, couldn't we? We could not do that, Shiro. Reality is not so kind. We have not gone to heaven. There's but one place that we've reached. Those who have ended their own lives go to hell. They must recognize their own mistake, accept their death, and disappear without a trace. And thus fall into hell, to suffer for many years onward. They must be burned by hell's fire, till their souls are cleansed and purified. This is the world of the afterlife. We currently stand on the boundary between life and death. This is the miracle we have been granted. The final hour is granted to us. I don't want that. I finally saw you again, Hakana. We have no choice but to accept it. Hell is where sinners must go. That is why we must feel grateful that we met again in this place. Even for just a moment, we were able to talk once more. This was a final miracle bestowed upon us by God. So it is traditional limbo. Because limbo is usually, especially, for obviously for people who commit suicide. So it's kind of interesting how Charon does like to use religion, and like a little bit of Western, and a little bit of Eastern religion. Usually lean towards the Eastern part, but this one's got a little bit more of some of the Western parts mixed in. But like if you remember from, like for example, my playthrough of Cosmology of Kyoto, which depicted some of the Buddhist hells, or Eastern hell at least. They do have some equivalents to like limbo and hell and punishment and so on for certain sins and everything. I saw a sky glittering in the colors of the rainbow. This was in a scenic white garden surrounded by a cropping of trees. I was there alone with Hakana. What a pretty color. She whispered that under her breath. She was calm, very much so. A wind blew past and Hakana's hair swayed with it. The sweet smell of flowers pricked my nose. She continued to look at the sky, but not a glance to me. I raised my eyes upward once more. There was no sun above us, no moon, no stars. Yet the sky shone, glittering in many hues. It could have painted the earth. It was too brilliant for the naked eye. It was the first time I'd seen such a color in my life. I suppose we won't ever see it again. To the time I'd forgotten to breathe, Hakana spoke. Yes, this would be the last. We wouldn't be looking up at the sky again. This was the very last time. This girl and I wouldn't be hand in hand ever again. But you're fine with that, I see. Oh, ring! Hakana smiled gently. This world will soon come to a close. You and I will both fade. We will remember our sins, forgive them, and disappear. The vivid green of those eyes looked at me alone. I looked to her as my response. There was a silver brand on the ring finger on her right hand. It was what I had given to Hakana. The symbol of lovers. It shone in 7 colors reflecting light from the sky. The same way Hakana had named herself Vanilla, our love. If it was everlasting, it was natural we'd meet again after earning a second life in this world. Isn't that right? When we were born, most surely. No, don't say any more. We won't be able to keep that promise. Hakana laughed when she saw my troubled face at having been interrupted. Struggling to hold back the tears, I held her gaze. Our sin is that we took our own lives. It's for that reason we may not be reborn so easily. But I believe. So please grant the wish that you couldn't before, Shiro. Hakana reached out her right hand and said that. You understand, don't you? I have but one wish. There's only one meaning behind those words. I nodded and took her hand. I took the band from her ring finger and closed my eyes slightly. This love wasn't some game. I wasn't playing around and I had no hidden motivations to speak of. I loved Hakana from the bottom of my heart. I truly loved her with all I had, with the purest intentions. Hakana loved me as well. That was why I wanted to be together forever. I wanted to be by my side. I thought we'd live together forever. I thought we'd continue to walk a happy and bright path dyed in light. There would be pain and there would be sadness. But if it was us two, we'd be fine. We would fight through it. We would have children, look after them warmly together. Hakana would forget her past and learn to laugh at the bottom of her heart. It was supposed to be that way, and yet, why had it gone like this? A tear trailed down my cheek. Yet, our relationship wasn't accepted. Our future was cut off with ease. She jumped from the window and I followed her footsteps. We were meant to be happy. All humans deserved happiness. I took Hakana's left hand and put the silver band on his ring finger. Tears dripped down my face. Still she smiled, because it was our last moment together. Our very last. I wanted to show her a smile, so I forced one on my face. Shiro, there's that awkward smile again. She laughed, seeing my face drenched in tears. I couldn't hold back my weeping. Tears flowed from me like a river without showing signs of stopping. Shiro. Hakuna showed me the bright smile she had yet and said this. Thank you for loving a damaged good like me. I love you. Don't worry, you're not damaged. Goodbye. And people aren't goods. True and everlasting.
空が虹色に輝き、真っ白な花が咲き乱れた。それは命なき花園。生と死とその狭間で、あなたは死に気づきましたか？己の罪と罰を。見たこともない光の花園。そこに横たわる自分自身と向き合う時にはもう遅い。あなたは死に気づきましたか？あなたの帰る場所はないと。命なくしてから気づくのでしょう。もう帰る場所がないこと。
We're fully white too. Interesting they didn't have the VA work for the main game, but they managed to keep it for the ending cutscene. Also, I'm not sure if it's a generic tune or not, but I do like the main theme song. I feel like it's pretty... It's got a nice tone to it. Nice comfiness. Thank you for playing. And thank you, the player. Finn. Oh, the tile screen changed. That's nice. So that's it for Vanilla Garden of Judgment. So, this is a bit of an interesting game. Now, I'll kind of get into why. It kind of shows Charon's kind of writing style. So the early writing is very kind of self-aware. I think aside from maybe Makoto Niki and some stuff, it was very self-aware and it was a little jokey and it was very schlocky. And so it basically also kind of leaned into the shock factor. And then this one and the other one I played, that one of their later works, they're actually this little bit of a religious angle. They're still schlocky and they're still a little bit trashy at times, but there's also like this little sentimental part, and it's kind of weird how it mixes. It both works and doesn't work, and this kind of changes by the minute. So, okay, if you don't quite get it, basically the three girls you meet here, at least, they all represent specifically the 1, 2, and 3. The first three, I'm not sure. Calling them sins isn't really correct. It's the first 3 precepts of the Buddhism. So the first one, I believe, is murder. The second one is kind of taking. So it's how she was kind of manipulating to get money and get like stuff and everything. And then the third one is has to do with sensuality, which in itself is broad, and the listing can reference sexual assault to anything from adultery to prostitution and so on. And there's some other little sins mixed in there. Obviously, all of them have like a little bit of everything, but those are the 3 main ones, and they all go in the exact order they are in. So I think that's intentional. And there's also some symbolism of how they're dressed and how even their color scheme changes a little bit compared to their real life counterparts. Like, Soyo's outfit looks kind of weird at first, but now I actually kind of get it after I went through a route. Like, oh, it's a duality thing. It's just, it's a little over the head with it. And then Lilith's is more, she has a little more conservative outfit compared to what she had. Her hair is kind of brown, and I feel like that's maybe some kind of, like, she's suppressing herself here. She kind of feels shame for what she was in life, and so on. And each of them, to get their good endings, they have to be punished. Whether or not you think the punishment is just or not, it's partially they themselves feel like they have to be punished, which is a common kind of sinner thing. And it's also part of a thing where Buddhism is kind of stereotypically known as a lax religion, especially in the West with pop culture. But it's actually a pretty strict religion. It does have punishments. You know, it does have kind of karmic payouts. You're not permanently kind of sinner. You kind of pay it off in karma, per se. So, the punishments themselves are a little where it gets kind of that schlocky, trashy part. But the rest of it's taken mostly straight. And of course, there's some symbolism of their names, even if you look at their namings like Soyo, and Lilith, and Rin, and so on. Like, all their names actually have meanings based on their own story. The only one I can't quite pin down if they're an actual sin is the main girl, the vanilla quotation mark. She just may literally be, like, the main character, just a classical thing of, like, well, if you commit suicide, that's considered a sin. And they do have a whole story about, they do have to pay their karmic dues. That's why they say, like, we're gonna go to hell, and then we're gonna have to spend some time there, and then we're gonna eventually reincarnate. And there's, like, a little bit of a romantic end there with, like, hopefully when we reincarnate, we'll meet again. So, I like that ending, actually. I like the ending. I feel like that's actually pretty romantic, and it's a good way to kind of end it. Some of the subject matter, it's a little too dark, and it's not quite handled fully correctly, but I don't think I've probably found a visual novel out there that's handled these type of subject matters correctly. So, that's nothing against Chiron specifically. I don't think you're gonna find one. There's such touchy material that I don't feel like there's not too many ways you can really execute it well. But overall, is it a good VN or adventure game? And it's like, yes, but with a kind of addendum at the end there, a little bit of a fine print. So, like I always say, I don't think there's a single Chiron work where I'm not bored. In the sense, I'm not truly entertained. Like, they're not necessarily always fun stories, but I always kind of want to see them to their end. I want to see what kind of train wreck is going to happen here, or either they go really trashy, or they're going to go, like, a little more sentimental, or so on and so on. I want to see them finished. Like, there's no point where I say, like, I gotta drop this, I can't handle it, like, it's really bad. Like, no, like, it never hits that point. There's awkwardness to the writing and execution. And, like, another creator whose games I actually did like, and played quite on the channel, Bogeko, that some of the creators' kind of desire for shock value kind of leaks into the writing a little too much, where it doesn't have, sometimes it goes unbalanced at the wrong pace. It works for something like Yanderella, where it's kind of dialed up almost all the time, but when it tries to be a little more serious, it kind of leaks a little too much. But overall, I do think they're improving as a writer. And granted, if I had to go through most of the game catalog I've played on my channel, and grade them on like a writing scale or a quality of writing scale, like, you know, most of them probably wouldn't pass anyways. They're enjoyable, but like the writing isn't that great. So, you know, overall they're fine. You know, they are what they are. Anyway, so thank you all for watching me play Vanilla Garden of Judgment. I'll see you guys later, and take it easy.